I don't play Arena. I haven't since Ravnica Legions. Gates is the last thing I remember about that. And so for that reason, I haven't played Alchemy ever. And Alchemy is like the extra digital-only add-on they do for all of their sets nowadays, with cards that don't work in paper, basically. And Alchemy Phyrexia actually came out a few weeks ago, but I don't pay any attention to Arena, so I had no idea. And then I randomly saw one of the cards from the set that made me want to make this quick video. And then I didn't have a voice for like 4 days, but now I do mostly. It'll be a bit raspy, but we can get through this. Alongside some game mechanics that seem to just irritate people, there's also some interesting flavour and lore hiding in the set, including some Mirrans, but only a few, so we'll look at the other stuff first and save them till the end. Let's have a look at what's hiding in this digital set. We'll start with the Foraxions. Most of the designs in the set track to how they looked in Phyrexia All Will Be One, exemplifying their colour alignment. If you can't grow, then hunt. If you can't hunt, then you will feed the evolution. Glissa Sunslayer. This is a really good condensation of the Green Faction's philosophy down to a single phrase. The flavour text isn't on any of the cards, by the way, but you can find it on Arena. Norn's Fetchling shows us a mite in the foreground. Actually, no, it's a Phyrexian insect. This isn't a mite. It's just a 1/1 Phyrexian insect with Toxic 1. Duh. I like this structure in the background being stripped of blood. Quicksilver Servitude skimming the shore as they eerily pour the liquid metal from their pristine bowl. Surgical Metamorph is like a reference to Phyrexian Metamorph before, and it's a very similar card. Although I don't really see why this one wouldn't work in paper, personally. Phyrexian Harvester is, I guess, the third part of a cycle including Obliterator and Vindicator, although this one definitely doesn't work in paper, so I don't know if they're planning on finishing that cycle, but this likely won't be the red version of it. I'm not sure if he's fighting Mirrans or Phyrexians in the art. I don't think they're Mirrans. Their blades don't look like Hex Gold. Relative to the amount of cards, there's more multicolored cards in this than in the base set. And for the most part, they do a good job marrying their respective Phyrexian styles. Ichor Aberration, I want to highlight, mostly, actually, for the shot of the Dross pits underneath, which is fantastic. Actually, Blightwing Whelp, also by JP Target, has a similarly gorgeous depiction of the Dross pits in the background. And Geox, brutal carnivora. Having slaughtered enough of Voranks' champions to earn his respect, she stalks the Hunter Maze in search of worthy fodder for Sheoldred's Colosseum. The only lore that we have for these legends is from this flavor text, by the way, so we'll have to piece things together. Quicksilver Lapidary, I think that's how you say that. Looks very much like a red Phyrexian that's sort of undergone some blue transformations. Could be the other way around, but it looks more like how the red Phyrexians look, save for the blue Phyrexian eye tentacles that they like. And they're admiring Mox Opal in their hand, which this card conjures for you, which is when you just generate the card. It's like a token, but it's a card instead. They're holding it wrong, though. That's not how you hold Mox Opal. You're supposed to cradle it with two hands, whilst looking down in awe, obviously. I do like this a lot, though. I like the flavour of turning the camera around on Mox Opal, if you see what I mean. Although I guess for ultimate flavour, it would have been nice to have the hands match, say, those shown on the Martina Pilsarova version. Contagion Dispenser speaks to the, in the flavour of All Will Be One, the white and blue and green factions were mostly aligned, whilst red and black were challenging the hierarchy of white, essentially. So I like here that we have a Simic card, a blue-green card, and it looks very blue-green in its construction, but you can see Norn's, like, crown atop it, like it's got her sort of endorsement, which speaks to their alliance in the story. There's an earlier version on the artist Bruce Bernice's Twitter that was revised for looking to creaturey. The card itself, I guess, is referencing Contagion Engine and Clasp. And you can see Contagion Engine in the background for Inexorable Tide, so I suppose this is sort of an evolution in a similar vein as those, and it can find those cards for you with its own spellbook, which I do appreciate. I think the spellbook thing is fun and flavorful, but I can see how it'd be really annoying to have to try and memorize a bunch of cards for every card. One card is now 16 cards. It's quite a lot. Also on the same vein as the Bant New Phyrexia Alliance is Vexir Iktekik's heir. With Voranks' attention elsewhere, Iktekik turned from crafting mindless predators to building a living legacy. Who is like a golem tribal commander. I think Arena doesn't have commander, but it has the other one. I can't even remember what that's fucking called. The failed Standard Commander. Who knows? I can't remember what it's called. Brawl. There you go. Yeah, I wish we had a paper version of this that would serve as a Bant Golem Commander, because that would be... It's kind of exactly what I want. I really want a Bant Golem Commander that I can screw, that I can cram all of the splicers into. That would be delicious. But regardless, this guy, who... I like how his art demonstrates all three of the styles of the new Phyrexian factions he's apparently aligned with. You can see the blue-eyed tentacles, of course, and the Norn-esque crown with the red sinewy detail underneath, and his hands are dripping green. But he's the heir to Tekik, who was Voranks' chosen splicer, and you wouldn't really think Voranks would be that interested in constructed golems, but apparently he thought they were cool. He was into them. He saw them as like a potential evolutionary predator thing, I guess, / test subject for bigger predators. So yeah, Voranks strangely endorses golems. Rothgar is another Phyrexian that's also here. It's actually Luca's thing that he bonds with. This is the Phyrexian that put the least effort into completing somebody ever and managed to complete a, this Phyrexian managed to complete a planeswalker simply by existing. Luca smiled as the bond took hold, then hesitated. For a moment, he could have sworn some strange malignant presence was trying to worm its way into his mind. Why is that written as if that's some unexpected sensation for him? Like you're bonding with a Phyrexian, you idiot! So yeah, it looks less red than it does in Luca's art, but you can see how this is that thing, kind of, from a different angle. So yep, that's here, and Luca's still dumb. Oh, Darksteel Hydra, which is fucking awesome. I love how it looks. It looks like it's been designed to sell me the toy version of it. I don't really care how it plays because I'm not going to play it. Oh, it makes Darksteel ingots. That's cool. And plates. I do actually like that. All right. It's cool then. Darksteel is this metal I probably should have mentioned in my larger Mirrodin video, really, along with Caldra, which I completely forgot to mention. Even the complete version I forgot to mention. Whatever. Darksteel is like this ultra-strong metal. It was actually the first time that Indestructible was used in Magic. Was to represent Darksteel, so everything that was Darksteel in the Darksteel set, which was the second set of Mirrodin, had Indestructible, basically. It's like this dark metal that you can tell by the golden motes that sort of flit around it in the air. It was just relevant in the story because the reason that Tezzeret was working for Elesh Norn was because she'd promised him a body made of Darksteel, which was obviously superior to his previous one because Darksteel's indestructible, but also didn't contain the planar bridge, which was killing him. He got his body in the end, and even though it was the dumbest plan ever, and obviously the Phyrexians were going to betray him, and they tried it, but he got around them, and he got away with his fancy new body. Yeah, Darksteel's cool. I want to see more Darksteel stuff. I wish there was more Darksteel stuff in the base set, to be honest. Why does Blightsteel Colossus look like that? It's always made me sad. It's like, you can see how it used to be a Platinum Empyrean. And why? Why doesn't it look like Darksteel Colossus? I love the design of Darksteel Colossus, and the fact that Blightsteel Colossus doesn't look like it has made me like it less than I should for years. Please can we get a Blightsteel Colossus reprint that actually looks like Darksteel Colossus? That's what I want more than anything. I love his horrifying, cute, emotionless eyes. And he looks very Iron Giant / Iron Man inspired. It's funny, I appreciate how good the Iron Giant is now as an adult, but as a child I didn't like it because it wasn't anything like the book, and I love that book. Where's the bit when the space dragon bathes on the sun, eh? Where's that bit? And now we have reached the Mirrans, of which there are very few. But first we have Magmatic Scorchwing. As Chiscoria took wing beneath the arc of the red sun, other dragons who slumbered deep in secret layers began to rise and fight. Chiscoria's lore sort of just said it had survived merely by being incredibly powerful, but I guess this flavor text kind of implies potentially it wasn't around for a while if it's now summoning deeply slumbering dragons. And it's a type of Mirran dragon that we've not really seen before. Most of the Mirran dragons are furnace dragons, which have internal furnaces, which they use to propel themselves around with rocket wings. And then outside of that, all the ones we've seen that don't have rocket wings, I think maybe there's some hiding in the backgrounds of art I'm missing right now, but at least in terms of cards, all the ones that don't have rocket wings have been robots, or at least constructs of some kind. I guess we had magma dragons the whole time, and also the Phyrexians seem to have a hard time completing dragons, don't they? I mean, obviously there's completed dragons, but you know, with Chiscoria and this guy still kicking about, I guess dragons are a bit of a pain for them. And then there's 2 4 Mirrodin cards, but neither of which are particularly exciting, but I like this guy swinging his sledge around, even if he's got one of those stupid mains again. Kroll decided to personally put the nail in every Phyrexian coffin. So if we go by the flavor text, this is depicting a character who showed up on a few flavor texts. Goblin Furnace Priest that was quoted on Shatter, and more relevantly, Goblin Gavalier. When everything looks like a nail, you really need to get yourself a hammer. Kroll, Goblin Furnace Priest. It's not quite getting a card, but they've got some art now, I suppose. It's an interesting design. It's like double 4 Mirrodin. It's really weird. Like you get Goblin Gavalier I just mentioned, which is just a card you could put an equipment on and that would be good for it. And I suppose it's like a bit better than the token you get, but it's such an odd card. It's like 4 Mirrodin and then kind of again, but different. Okay. I mean, that's not bad, but weird. And the next one, Bladehold Cleaver. If there can be no victory, then we will fight forever. Mirren battle cry. So Koth's iconic phrase has now become a rallying cry for the Mirrens, which is nice. I actually like the flavour of how the spellbook works with this card a lot. When the equipped creature dies, you can basically find any number of, well, a random one of a good selection of Mirrens from Mirrodin card history. And it gives the blade this passed down feeling, which I guess could be a little bit better represented in the art. Although, I'm assuming it didn't always look this way, and it's recently had the Hex Gold effect applied to it. But it would be interesting if we could see how it used to be a previous weapon and had that on. As it's like, the fact that it's called Bladehold Cleaver, I'm pretty sure the Mirrens don't have access to Bladehold anymore, which used to be a stronghold of theirs in the white aligned fields. I'm pretty sure Bladehold doesn't even exist anymore, right? It must be Mirexed. And I think, given her name, probably conquered by its previous champion, Rhea Evor, who used to show up as the non-legendary hero of Bladehold back in Mirrodin Besieged. And it's still a pretty good card, isn't it? It's still pretty good. Maybe it's been power crept a bit, but it's not bad. But she showed up, now completed, in Phyrexia All Will Be One, as the Bane of Bladehold. So the name and the rules text, and I guess the flavour, are selling this idea of a handed-down blade, and I just wish the art was delivering that same message a bit. Kembas Outfitter has some art that I really wish appeared in the main set, because it's bloody... I really like it. It does feel like maybe this art was meant to be on a different card, as I don't really see how this is an Outfitter. Kemba is one of the surviving leaders of the Leonin, and this is a Leonin, but it doesn't really look like an Outfitter. They're in the Hunter's Maze for some reason, which isn't where the Mirrens typically hang out, so I guess they're on some kind of mission. Yeah, I guess I wish we had the card that this art was maybe originally for in the base set. And then we have a fake Mirren, Arek, false Gold Warden. Gold Warden is the name given to the elite soldiers of Jor Kadeen, who's one of the Mirren resistance leaders. So one of them is unfortunately a Phyrexian sleeper agent. The moment I laid eyes on Sheoldred's Colosseum, I knew nothing Mirren could ever compare to that grandeur, that power. My entire being was seized with the desire to serve my Thane. So that's her motivation. As for the card, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, perpetually increase the intensity of Arek and the intensity of all cards named Arek, false Gold Warden, in your graveyard, hand, and library by 1. And then you can pay 3 white-black, tap, and sacrifice Arek. Target opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is Arek's intensity. Yeah, the intensity does quite a good job of representing this problem, this intangible problem that's gradually getting worse. This could probably work in paper just with experience counters, right? I guess to capture the ultimate flavour of a sleeper agent, it would be cool if this worked similarly to how Sleeper Agent and the other one, Xantia, work, where it enters the battlefield under your opponent's control. But I like this card flavorfully, and I'm sad that I'm not going to get to play with it at all, because I don't want to play Arena. And the reason I made this video is because I caught a glimpse of Galma the Shaper, or Galma. If you can't find allies, forge them. It says 1 and 2 white for a 3/3 Elephant Artificer with Vigilance, and whenever Galma the Shaper attacks, you conjure a card named Tempered Steel into your hand, then create a 1/1 colorless Mere artifact creature token. Tempered Steel is the card that she was previously quoted on. It's an enchantment, cost 3, and gives all your artifact creatures +2/+2. She's a Mirren Artificer with a bit of history, having been mentioned in a couple of articles and on a couple of cards quoted on the aforementioned Tempered Steel. Death shall prevail as long as our will falls to rust. May necessity anneal our resolve. And Galma's Warden, a special unit, guards the Loxodon Artificer known as Galma the Shaper. They are armed and armoured in her finest works of silver and steel. She's a Loxodon elephant person with the ability to... Oh, I'll just read it from the article. Metal seems to flow like liquid under her touch, allowing her to sculpt metal objects without a forge. So she did a lot of that metal shaping for the Mirrans, and later on, she even created the Razor Circle passage, a sort of crop circle-esque magic passage that would open up and allow Mirrans access from the Razor Fields down into the Furnace Layer, where they were protected under Urabrusk's reign. Or at least, not murdered. I think the only major Resistance member we're lacking now is Kara Vrist, who I need to appear because she needs to face judgment for her crimes against Parcelmere. Crack it open. I love Galma as a card. This is maybe my favourite Mirren from all of the Phyrexia All-Will-Be-One associated cards. Maybe even including Urtet. I love that we got a Mirren from Mirrodin's history. I love the pose of her and her Mia, who's so ready to go, and the details on her armor and her currently raised goggles. How they're bathed in this mist or this steam or smoke from the forge, which you can kind of see vaguely implied in the background. Like, maybe she doesn't need one, but maybe she still has one too for doing more complicated metal stuff. And honestly, I'm more excited. I'm more interested in building this than I am Urtet, although they're both kind of doing similar things in that they both make your army go wide and tall pretty efficiently. I do really like Urtet. And I bought a foil borderless one for a tenner as well, mate. Tenner. And I might build Urtet at some point. The only thing that's putting me off is I don't really have enough money to construct a decent 5-color land base at the minute. I don't have any fetch lands. Now I sold them and I regret it. But Galma, I can do mono white, yeah. I can do mono white pretty easily, and it's more exciting to me. It's got that perfect marriage of Mirrans and the Mia that I didn't get enough of in the set. There definitely was that with the Mia cards, through flavor text and details, etc. But I wanted them together, and this is that. And I love the idea of flushing my hand with Tempered Steels. Tempered Steel's a card that I feel like I've cut from nearly every artifact-themed deck, just about. And it was a card that I used to use a lot in the deck that I was proud of years ago in Mirrodin Besiege. That was, it was kitchen table. But I resent that phrase as well. I don't like the phrase kitchen table. I've never owned a kitchen big enough for a table. And it was just the classic go wide, use overrun effect strategy. But I came to it on my own, so it was great. It was just Mir and Garrick and overrun, and it was bloody great. But I've been cutting it from EDH decks for years, and I love the idea of not having to put it in the deck and just getting it for free. And honestly, I might actually build this in paper, really. Obviously, it requires some rule zeroing and making sure everyone's okay with it, but it just looks like such a fun deck to construct. And I'll just, I'll bring a stack of Tempered Steels, and every time I attack, I get one of them, and that's fun. Dragging this out of Arena and sticking it in EDH, I think adds some interesting dimensions to the gameplay that you don't get in standard Paper Commander. Not standard, regular Paper Commander in the build that I've been making for it on Moxfield. Cards like Starnheim Corsair become extra good, as well as Brilliant Restoration, or maybe Triumphant Reckoning, or I guess Open the Vaults if you don't mind your opponent's Smothering Tide coming back. But I'm just so captured by the idea of this deck now, and I really want to put it together. You could build it as Mere Tribal, you could just lean into artifact creatures. I guess there's not a million avenues, but you can do those. So I honestly might actually get this printed at some proxy place soon. And then I was thinking I could probably buy a bunch of Tempered Steels for very cheap, and I might well do that as well. But another funner thing, maybe more fun than that, would be taking a bunch of Art from Mirrodin cards that I don't typically play, that would apply to Tempered Steel, and printing those, and maybe having 15 or so, I'm just saying 15 because it's sideboard size, Tempered Steel with art from Mirrodin's history, just for fun. Galma looks quite powerful to me, obviously giving you an extra card every turn. In mono white, that's quite good. But compared to lots of other commanders today, I don't really see Galma as ludicrously powerful, especially in mono white. What do you think about Galma the Shaper in paper? That rhymed. Would you want to play this? Would you be annoyed to play against this? Do you think this is too powerful or not powerful enough? Do you think this requires a bit of a rules change rather than me just picking from a unseen deck of Tempered Steels every turn? Would you think there should be tokens or something? Let me know in the comments, because I am genuinely interested. And whatever cards from Alchemy sets would you like to play? I like the idea of pulling these cards out of Alchemy, fixing them up, and playing them in paper. Or cockatrice or whatever, I guess. Although I am probably going to put that deck together, and I will let you know how it goes in some form, maybe at the end of a video or something. But that's it for the cards in Alchemy that I have something to say about. And we have now finally, I feel, left my favourite plane behind again for a while. Which is fine, and we're all gearing up for March of the Machines, where stuff's going down. In a future video I will pour more into alchemy cards to find the hidden details within, because I bet there's a bunch of stuff there. I haven't really looked at many of the alchemy cards, to be honest, through lack of interest, but I didn't really think about all the lore hiding in them. Guild Wars 3 is still coming. Remember when I said, see you in Guild Wars 3, and I'm not on camera right now? Haha, loophole! That's coming along. Man, have you read The Gathering Storm by Django Wexler? It's really good. It's like a prequel to prequel in quotes, we'll get into that in the next video, but to War of the Spark, that I don't think anybody read. I didn't even know it existed until about 6 months ago, and I only read it recently. But it came out a couple of months after War of the Spark, to no fanfare. I didn't even know it existed. And it's bloody fantastic! So yeah, read that. If you want some homework for Guild Wars 3. But don't do that, that's stupid, don't do that. Read it if you're interested in reading a good Magic book, because that's what it is. But yeah, the big project's still chugging. In the meantime, I've got some shorts to pepper in. I imagine March of the Machines will come out first, and I might do a sort of quick set reaction thing to that as well. I could just do that for every set, and it wouldn't be that hard. And it wouldn't take really much time away from the big projects, because it takes very little time to make, comparatively. And I'll show up a lot quicker, and that'll be cool. Until then, all that remains to be done is thank my wonderful patrons. And so thank you immensely, my Parcelmere and Brass Squire patrons, whose names are all listed here. And a vocally named thank you to all my wonderful patrons crammed into the battlesphere. Oh, it's rolling, but I think I can just about read their names from here. Ephesus, Yakub, Vukasin Prunik, Sebastian Rees, Storfeting, Cobra, Jack Rockstar, Eric Vaughan, Librarian of Leng, Stevo, Santiago Adia. Endless thank yous all. Bottomless, all-you-can-eat thank yous. And if that sounds like the kind of list that you'd like to be on, then find me on Patreon, under the video, or on the screen now. I'm going to do a real link this time. It's Silvermere is the name of the channel, obviously. Thank you all again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the future. Did you hear that door slam?